WTIM. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our WTIM morning show brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us by phone today, I've got Valerie Belusco. She is a community and economic development educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Valerie, good morning to you. How are you today?
Good morning, Grayson. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well, and despite the topic in which we are going to try and tackle here today, I think a lot of folks are going to be interested in this one, as I am as well. You put on here sticker shock, and that is about as, I would say, perfect for an example or perfect of a description as possible. Sticker shock on electric bills, as some have increased nearly 50% in the last 2 months. What can you tell us about this increase? Why has it happened? And why is my bill so much more than it was just a few months ago?
Well, there are so many factors. It is not just one single factor for why your bill has increased, and it is increasing across the board. I will say in our area, I do not think that we have hit the 50% increase. Typically, we're seeing anywhere from 20 to 40% increase if people have not adjusted their usage, if they did not know this was coming. I do know that for my own personal electric supplier, I am part of a co-op because I live in a rural area, and they were kind of warning us in their monthly newsletter starting back in January to expect increases. And so, of course, I want to know why. And they give some reasons. And of course, I go, well, I'm going to do a deep dive. I want to see if this is really right. The big issue is, which everybody knows, we have had the fossil fuel plant closures as part of the state phasing out coal and natural gas plants. Illinois is really aiming for 100% clean energy by 2045. This is part of the CEJA Act, that stands for Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, and it's really just removing the traditional generating capacity from the grid and putting on what we would call renewable energy. So when we take offline some of the more traditional generators, that can happen rather quickly. But the build out for the renewable energy takes time. So while we are seeing lots of projects across our area for solar and wind, it takes time to build those out. And unfortunately, that means that we're kind of in a time where we don't have as much energy on our grid that we are producing. So our state might have to kind of buy from, other states just to make sure we have enough, which isn't an issue, but it does mean that, we're going to feel the pinch. We also have had just an increasing electricity demand. And most people always talk about it from the heat perspective. Oh, it's summer. And it's been a really hot summer, especially late June and July. While that is true, that isn't the only thing that is increasing our electricity demand. Have you heard of a little thing called ChatGPT and AI?
I think a lot of us are starting, if we haven't already. I'm sure they're going to start hearing about it.
So AI is artificial intelligence, and they use a significant amount of energy just in the way they kind of operate. So they have a high demand, and these are, just online, or, if you think about it, it's technology. And so it's trying to figure out what we want, and it's trying to map that, and we're trying to create that and continually make it better. But it just sucks up the energy. And so as more and more people start using AI, ChatGPT, those kind of things, the more energy we're using. And it might not seem like it to people who are on the user end, who are just, sitting at their computer or, using their phone. But when you look at the big data processing centers, it really does use an immense amount of energy. So that, of course, is going to impact the usage that we need, not at a personal level, but at a state level. And that's also going to put more demand on the grid. And so that means we're kind of all going to be paying for it. Last but not least, some people have been slower to replace their major appliances like refrigerators and freezers, water heaters, air conditioners to energy efficient models. And so as they continue to get older, they just continue to kind of have to work harder and therefore use more energy. And so when we're in a time where the grid is kind of already, we're not maxed out yet, but we're definitely using a lot of energy on our grid, that can really impact it and affect what our bill looks like.
There is so much to unpack there, and we could probably just talk about those things for the entirety of this deal. But I appreciate you mentioning the AI and the massive data centers, because it can't just be our ACs. If last year when I was running it, it didn't cost me near this much, and you also mentioned like the appliances and things of that nature as well. But my goodness, the bill just went up so much so, and it feels like now we're footing the bill for those services. Is there anything else that's part of this problem, or is there anything else that you want to expand about when it comes to AI or any of those other things that are drawing on so much power from the grid?
Well, I know things can get very messy and political on this kind of discussion. And so, I always tell people what we have to concentrate on is where we're at right now, not what we had and, not what we miss or what we want, but really thinking about the future and how we're going to handle things over the next few years, because it is going to take, and the U.S. government has kind of given a warning that they do expect record power demand for the rest of 2025 and 2026. And that is due to the AI data centers, the warming temperatures, and just the changes in grid operations across the United States. So, now is the time where we have to plan for that. I don't know how many people probably budget like I do, but I am a budgeter. And so I have to adjust my budget, and I have to know that I'm going to have to adjust my budget, not just temporarily, not just in this summer month, but, probably for the next 2 years. And, if I want to be safe, I'm going to say 3 years. So what am I going to do? What changes am I going to make? What investments am I going to make to help the changes not be, so damaging to my budget? Those are the kind of things we need to think about and talk about, whether you're just an individual living at home or if you were a business.
And I'm sure businesses too are very much so feeling it. I've seen some things go around of businesses that are not very happy with their bills, and unfortunately, then as a consumer, you kind of wonder, does that get pushed to you a little bit as well? And so I know that there are a lot of questions and concerns that have really come about over these last couple of months. Am I correct in that some of this started as of June 1st of this year? And I've seen things even saying like as of September 30th, we might to see some of this come back down on the Ameren side of things. Is that correct even?
So yes, that is what Ameren is telling us. I actually do not have Ameren. I am on a different supplier, but my supplier, as well as Ameren, they are pushing out information to all of their users. So when they push out that information, you definitely want to pay attention to it, because they're trying to give you a heads up so that you can properly budget. And they do see the ebb and flow happening. Although, the U.S. government is also saying just expect usage to be more. So we just have to take that into consideration. While our bills might not be nearly as high as they have been by the time we hit September, we still want to make sure that we are properly budgeting, because it still might be a little higher than last September. So keeping that in mind, taking that into consideration, and taking into consideration your home or your business and how it operates, how it's functioning, what it's using, what its needs are, can be critical to making sure that you're using your energy consumption wisely.
Energy consumption wise, is there anything else that's part of this problem? We talked the big ticket items, I guess we'll call them. Is there anything else that can be contributing to that higher electric bill that you want to make folks aware of?
Well, my husband and I are fortunate enough that we were able to build a new home about 5 years ago. But prior to that, we were living in an old farmhouse. The insulation was not great. The windows were not great. And so we had a lot of heating and air conditioning loss in our home. And we're using a lot more electricity just trying to keep the home either heated or cooled because of that. So at that time, we knew we weren't going to be there more than 5 years. So we really didn't want to do any heavy investments. But if you are in a home that is maybe older, maybe now is the time to start thinking, what investments could you do if you want to stay there long term? Where do you think you're losing some of your heating and cooling? And how is that making your appliances work that much harder? So sometimes you can do sometimes it's just a visual inspection, just going through, feeling drafts in the windows, feeling the walls in the winter, and trying to figure out, well, do we need to blow in more insulation? Do we need it in our walls, our ceiling, our floor? Where do we need it to put? And that all depends on the type of home you have. Maybe you need to replace some windows. Maybe it's just sometimes it's just windows on one side of your house that have had a little bit more wear and damage. Sometimes it can be as simple as replacing the caulking around your windows, or making sure that when your windows are closed, go ahead and lock those windows, because locking those windows really helps create a seal so that you are not letting, hot air in and cool air out. Can be incredibly important. You can also do just some minor things like switching the types of curtains you have. I know a lot of people are big fans of blinds. I am a huge fan of blinds. But what we have found in our 2-story home, in our daughter's rooms, the light blocking curtains actually do so much to really keep out the cold in the winter and really keep in the cool in the summer. And so we have switched and opted to move for those type of curtains upstairs because it makes a huge difference.
And just finding some of those little things that make a difference on your energy bill. And in our next segment, I'm excited to talk a little bit about what else we can do to lower those energy bills, but optimizing your home to the best of your ability and with what dollars that you have can maybe save you some future dollars on that energy bill as well. Well, Valerie, let's take ourselves that break. Valerie Belusco, Community and Economic Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension, joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show. We'll come back around and talk more about that energy bill of yours. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all higher. September corn up 3 1/4, 383. December corn up 3 3/4, 405. March corn up 3 1/4, 422 1/2. September beans up 3, 968 1/2. November beans 988 1/2, up 4. January beans up 4, 1007 1/4. September wheat up 8 1/4, 516 3/4. December wheat up 8 1/4, 537 1/2. September bean meal 274.30, up $1.70. September bean oil down 7 cents, 53.65. Livestock trade August, feeders down $1.32, 343.70. August live cattle down a nickel, 236.25. August lean hogs up 20 cents, 109.07. Energy market, September crude oil 64.36, up a penny. Jim Taylor, RFD, right.
St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Over the years, it has meant the Gas House Gang, Stan the Man, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, the Wizard, Big Mac, Yachty, Waino, and Pujols. All those names, and they provided so many memories. St. Louis Cardinals baseball, most importantly, has meant championship baseball. We'll be describing every play right here on the Cardinals Radio Network, powered by Gray Bar.
Cardinal Baseball, heard on WTIM, your information station. The Big 870 across central Illinois, 96.1 FM in Christian County, 107.5 FM in Shelby County, and 107.9 in the Pena-Nokomis area. It's brought to you by Taylorville Community Eye Care, Sloan Implement, Rural Rentals, Specialized Hearing Solutions, and CNB Bank.
Cardinals Baseball on 96.1 in Christian County, WTIM.
This is Angela Quinn with People's Bank and Trust, where customers have one consumer banker who knows them and provides the right financial services to achieve their financial goals. Your consumer banker is your single source of life's financial needs, from checking to consumer loans, from retirement accounts to mortgage loans, and everything in between. Call me at AAA-PBT 1954. Bank with People's Bank and Trust so you can spend your time living your life, not explaining it. People's Bank and Trust, we put people first. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey there, loyal listeners. This is your team at Regional Radio with a quick heads up. Some of the great programming you enjoy throughout the day is pre-recorded, but don't worry. We're still bringing you the same local content you love. Our legal team insisted we mention this, and hey, keeping the attorneys happy keeps us on the air. So thanks for tuning in and being part of the Regional Radio family. We're proud to bring local, compelling content to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Your information station, WTIM.
More of the WTIM morning show here on your information station. We're brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first in Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. And in this segment, we've got Valerie Belusco, Community and Economic Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension. We're talking energy bills and how we can lower them. We want to pick right back up where we left off. Valerie, what are some of those simple ways that we can keep our home cooler in the summer and maybe keep some of that heat in during the winter?
Well, you know what? One of the things that we try to do in our family is not use the oven as much. So we actually have an air fryer, and we use it quite heavily in the spring and summer months because we do not want the oven heating up our house, for whether it's for frozen pizza or to bake brownies. Because it just makes the air conditioner struggle that much more. So we really use the air fryer, and we look up recipes all the time to see what we can do in our air fryer, what we can do different and new, and we take advantage of that. So that's definitely something you should consider. You know, while we're in the kitchen or talking about the kitchen, also, you know, only run your dishwasher when it's full. And think about other smaller appliances that you might have to do some of your cooking, like maybe a toaster or a toaster oven. Just, you know, keep that in mind and make sure that your kids are cognizant of that as well, and make sure they really understand why you're asking them to do this. And, you know, maybe it's because of the bill. Maybe it's because you want to help protect the environment. Get them to understand what your reasoning is so that it becomes personal to them and they really kind of adhere to the rules of what we're going to use and what we're not going to use in the summer. Also, if your kids are like mine, they're changing their clothes constantly in the summer because they're going from activity to activity. You know, if you are using your washer, use your washer full loads. Don't do part loads. Really consider running them on cold water and not hot water. And the use of your dryer. Line dry clothes whenever you can.
So, Valerie, some of those ways to cut down on that energy bill. One last thing with about 30 seconds to go here. Where can I get help on my energy bill if I really do need it?
So if you really need it, one of the first things you should do is actually call your supplier. So if that is Ameren, give them a call. They're much more willing to work with you if you call them ahead of time than if you wait for 2 months and start to have your bills lapse. So call them right away and they can help you out. Also, you can always look into sources like LIHEAP, which provides financial assistance for energy bills. Look up Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends. That's a great program. And maybe even look into your community action agencies and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, because they will also have programs to help you.
Valerie, I wish we had more time for this today, but thank you for your time here today.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Valerie Belusco, Community and Economic Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension here on WTIM.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5 FM Shelbyville. 107.9 FM Pina Nokomis.
Of a White House deadline for Moscow to show progress toward ending the 3-year-old war in Ukraine. Mr. Trump said